Hi, Kevin Coop here, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy. So the other day, I had the chance to do something I'd never done before. I went down to the Fulton Fish Market in the Bronx. Now, when I say the other day, I don't really mean the other day. I actually mean the other night because I was there from like 11:45 p.m. until about 2:30 in the morning, which is if you want to see the Fulton Fish Market in action, that's when you have to go. And I saw something that was really impressive. I mean, both old stuff and new stuff. Now, the Fulton Fish Market dates back to like 1831 or something like that. And it's only since 2005 that they've been in the Bronx. Before that, they were in Manhattan. But one of the things that was interesting, first of all, you go into this building and it's like a quarter of a mile long. It just goes on for seemingly ever. And there are dozens and dozens of fishmongers, of small fish companies, seafood companies that are displaying their wares. They're bringing them in off the fishing boats, sometimes being shipped in, and they're laying things out. They're filleting, they're cutting, they're trimming the whole thing, and they're laying things out so people, reps, can come in and kind of look and decide what they want to buy, what looks good, what should they be serving that night. A lot of restaurants, some retailers, and it was really fascinating. And I got to tell you, I mean, I was there for less than 3 hours. I came away from thinking to myself, man, that is a tough way to make a living. It really is. I know I got home like 3 o'clock in the morning. I basically took off all my clothes, threw in the wash machine, took a hot shower, and threw out the sneakers I've been wearing because they just smelled awful. These guys do it all the time. It was fascinating. But the reason I was there was not to see the stuff that dates back to the 1800s. The reason I was there is I wanted to see the mechanism behind FultonFishMarket.com, which is very much a 21st century idea that is designed to serve both restaurants and retailers and, go figure, consumers. There's a consumer direct component built into it. Now, in charge of the FultonFishMarket.com is a guy named Mike Spindler, who a lot of you may know, because Mike has been in the technology side and e-commerce for a long time. And I first got to know Mike when he was one of the pioneers behind My Web Grocer a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. And it was because I wanted to see Mike. I wanted to see what would get him to the Fulton Fish Market at 2 o'clock in the morning. What was so interesting about it? And basically, it's fascinating. What they're trying to do essentially is sort of reinvent the seafood supply chain. I mean, they're trying to bring a little Amazon magic to a business that is hundreds, if not thousands, years old. And their conceit is sort of that what they can do is they can take pieces out of the supply chain, and they can source product both from the vendors that are in the Fulton Fish Market, which gives them access to incredibly fresh food, as well as being able to source product from other places around the world where, things like smoked salmon, right? That maybe people in this country would not necessarily have access to. I had this amazing smoked salmon from a company called H. Foreman and Company. It's a company that's been smoking salmon in England since like the early 1900s. I'd never heard of this brand before, and it was just absolutely extraordinary. And basically, there's a whole series of steps that currently is in the supply chain between the sea and the plate, and they're cutting a bunch of them out. And that's a really interesting idea. Basically, what they're trying to do is be disruptive. They're taking an age-old business and trying to kind of bring disruptive technology and a disruptive mindset to it. And I think it's really, really interesting. Their notion is that, they can use this new supply chain, both for retailers and for consumers, to give people the best and freshest fish possible. Really, really smart idea. And listen, I think for a lot of retailers, seafood is a place where they can differentiate themselves from the competition and certainly from Amazon and companies like that. If you have a really strong seafood program, along with the educational materials, helping people know what the fish is, know how to cook it, know how to serve it, know how to eat it in a really interesting way, that's a smart thing to do. And I think that one of the things that FultonFishMarket.com, and I urge you to go to their site, is to see what they're doing and how they're bringing a technological mindset to this very, very old business. I'm fascinated. I gotta be honest, as a consumer, I look at this and say, I think to myself, I think I might start to buy seafood from them on a regular basis, just because I'm sort of interested in the process. I want to see how it works. And I eat a fair amount of seafood. I eat seafood at least 2 to 3 times a week. And those would all be seafood purchases that I would be making at a traditional store that I no longer would be. That's one of the reasons I think retailers have to pay attention. They can actually take advantage of this disruptive technology and maybe use the Fulton Fish Market in interesting ways. Listen, One of the things we always talk about here on Morning Newsbeat is the importance of telling a story. Well, man, the Fulton Fish Market has a story. It has an amazing narrative that retailers can actually put to use in terms of building their own sales. And if they do that, and they do it in a really smart way, well, I think they can hook the consumer, right? They can hook the consumer. You'll forgive the expression, hook, line, and sinker. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.